this is Redlip Blonde, and I thought I'd do my stripper stories as being a dancer for 19 years, 47 now. Excuse me. I could tell you some stories from day one. I started dancing when I was 17, and I remember I didn't drink, and I went to this club in Massachusetts. I won't mention names, but very naive, straight cut country girl, you know. Went into this club and was very nervous, and a friend of mine I was staying with told me to try out, because then I was 115 pounds, 17 years old, and didn't have a job. So I went to a club not too far. It took me a while to find. It was on Friday. Packed with buses. I was scared out of my mind. All this loud music going on inside, and this was in 1983. Or, I'm sorry, 1984. And I walked in and didn't have an outfit. I just wore some culotte type shorts that buttoned up. It's like a one piece. They were black, and had some cute shoes and ruffled socks. You know, it was the 80s. And walked in and went right to the bar and had a drink immediately, even though I didn't drink. Told me to get tequila, so I drank that, and I couldn't feel it after 3. I still couldn't feel anything. I was so nervous. But anyway, talked to the boss man, a little short Italian man, and went inside this little office and talked about wanting to work. So he said to audition, which was in 15 minutes to get up there. There was a DJ, a big long stage with about 19 different girls at different times dancing for men, and the place was packed, and I was so intimidated, but I knew I needed money, and I knew I had to just get it over with and give it a shot. So they called my name. The DJ asked what name I wanted, and of course, Sherry Berry, and called me on. I made my debut that day. I believe it was in the summer. And after going on stage, this big gentleman, what a heavy-set guy, kept giving me 10s and 5s. It was like picking off a money tree. And I stayed by him like a duck on water. I don't know what the expression would be, but why should I move around when there's a person tipping me plenty of money in this one area? And anyways, when I was in the dressing room, I forgot to mention, before I went on, all these women were putting on their makeup and putting on their stripper clothes and heels and doing their hair, and I felt like, wow, I need to invest in some clothing, or little clothing, I should say. And so a girl says, hey, honey, I've got some advice for you. See those black panties you're wearing? I have some nice panties on, and she said to turn them around and wear them like a thong. I said, well, that's creative. All right. So I did, and tucked them right up there and put them on under my outfit, and got called out and danced. And long story short, the first day was pretty nerve-wracking, but kind of fun and intriguing in a way. And the girls seemed like I've known them my whole life. Very friendly, down to earth, glamour girls, which I always was, but never knew much about it. And I danced. The owner talked to me after my set, which was 20 minutes. And it's only topless. You didn't have to take your bottoms off. You were to go out in the audience, but you had to stay an arm length away. I got the rules and all that. And he says, honey, you're a sweet girl, but I don't think you're experienced enough. Try coming back another time. I was devastated. So I left in my little VW, crying my eyes out, and I was still determined to land the job as a dancer. And I thought, this place is just too good for me. And so I'll go on to my next part. My second day at another club where I got hired for 3 years. And the experience there were totally different than this upscale bar lounge. It was a inner city bar on the outskirts of town, and there were different women, black women mostly, and a few white young girls. And this black girl named Nadine, she had a lot of bangles up to her elbows. I mean, gosh, she could put any more on, there would be no room. But I sat and watched for at least a half hour, and by then I had the money to go get a few outfits at the mall. And I put my makeup on and threw on a really nice suit of lingerie and my stockings and gloves. Of course, the 80s were gloves like Madonna and all that fun stuff. And the barmaid who owned the bar said to me, "Honey, you better go put some more makeup on." And I said, "Well, I have makeup on." She said, "No, you'll need more." And she was a buxom blonde. She kind of looked like a heavy-set Marilyn Monroe. And she took a liking to me. She had glasses. She owned the bar. She drove a white Cadillac, of course. And she really thought it was something else. So she told me to change myself up, watch the girls and learn from them. And she chewed gum, which was amazing. I could still hear her snapping her gum as she's talking to me. And so I got up on stage. I had a jukebox up there. I didn't have a web DJ at this place. So I played my song. It was probably a Madonna song, so I can't remember. And I danced. And I was waiting when I got off stage to get rejected after that half an hour, which seemed like forever. It was a very small square stage with disco lights and floor lights and mirrors. And nothing like the last club where it was a huge stage and everything. And you stayed on the stage. Lots of perverts, I call them, in the corners of every chair drinking beer, and the place was filled with cigarette smoke. And I was so nervous that the gentleman says, "You know, you did fine, girl. What can I get you to drink?" And I said, "Well, I'm not of age. I can't drink." And the owner didn't seem to mind. He says, "Sure, you can't drink. You can have ginger ale or soda. And when you turn 18, you'll be allowed to drink in the bar. Funny how they'll let you take your clothes off. You can't drink. You can take your clothes off." So anyways, months went by. That December, which on Christmas baby, I turned 18. I got 18 shots lined up on that bar that some gentlemen, a few gentlemen had bought at the table because they knew it was my 18th birthday. And I drank them all. It took me a while, but I finished them, and that's when drinking started to numb the feeling of having to take your clothes off. I'm more into attention. I didn't care for taking my clothes off. I didn't feel I was this, nice, beautiful girl that everyone said I was. I always thought of myself as headstrong, social, and always had a story to tell. And I needed an outlet. And my way to entertain men was to talk to them and talk about myself and make them feel good about themselves because it made me feel good about myself. And I was good at that, and men like that. A lot of the times they say, "Honey, just keep your clothes on and come down and talk to me. You're an alright girl. We like you." And being from the country, I was very soft-hearted, always, caring about others. And these women here were very hard. They just were after that money. I I needed the money, but I wouldn't sell my soul for $1 to do some stupid things that they would do. Well, anyways, time went on, and it was Christmas, like I said, and I went out and spent all my tips on gifts for all the girls, and bought the gentlemen like mugs and jewelry for the girls, and I felt like Santa Claus. I mean, I never made that much money being that young to go to the mall every day and pick out anything you wanted with your own money, cash, no credit cards, just cash, cash, cash. And I love to shop, and I love to give. So it was a fun year. I mean, of all the years that I've worked, it was like getting paid to party and socialize, and it was fun. But there are some weird people and weird men, and I've had more scarier times hitchhiking across the U.S. than I ever would in a strip bar. I felt like it was family. I felt everyone would watch out for one another. And I thought the owners were pretty genuine. If they liked you, they liked you, and they take care of you. So I always would show up for work, and I'd work double shifts because they always called on me. I was always there. Of course, Sherry to the rescue when the other girls were too drunk or whatever. I'd always work. But saving money is something I could never do, and I wish I did. $1,500 to $1,600 a week, and not doing any favors, not sleeping around, just straight dancing, poppers. I think I did pretty well. So anyways, a year later, I went back to that club. I got up the nerve, had the experience behind my belt, and went back to that original lounge, big fancy lounge with the gorgeous girls and lots of men and more money. I got hired, no problem. And I felt proud in a way because I made it to the big time. I made it to the bigger clubs, the Rescue clubs, the beautiful girl clubs. These other clubs to me were but I made it to some of the best clubs, and it was an honor for me to be asked to work there. Because I thought, well, I'm accepted. I'm pretty. I'm doing well. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of people. A lot of men, lonely men, single men, married men. I never slept around. Never. But I would say there was, in some of these lounges, which there were several others after that, the girls would get caught up in a lot of drugs and alcohol. And thank God I always had my boundaries. I wouldn't pass a certain line. And years have gone by where I'm glad that I didn't have an addictive personality, or I could have been really caught up in a lot of homelessness or drug addictions or abusive relationships. But I've always seemed to stay one step at a game. And I can't say it was all bad. So, I'll tell you some more in my next video of stripper world, and I hope you enjoy listening. Alright, take care. Bye. Ciao. Peace out.